What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, all right? Where we try to talk with all these movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, the people of color who have made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Shannon. Ryan Williams isn't with us today. You know, he's out on a well-deserved vacation, you know, getting those rays and that sand in between his toes, you know. But I'm joined by Chris Abacon.
What's going on, everybody?
And Daniel Acevedo.
How's it going, guys?
All right, everybody. With three of us here, we're gonna try to make it as good as we can, right? We know with Ryan being here, he usually is the master of everything, but we're gonna try to make it ours a little bit today. But we're gonna bring a couple things to you. So first off, like, share, subscribe. I know we're close to getting the 500 subscribers that Ryan wants for the podcast, but I know last week it was 40. I'm not exactly tracking how many we are away from that 500, but again, like, share, subscribe, get it out to everybody. Let them know, hey, these geniuses out here are doing big things. You know, we out here bringing the good news to y'all. You know, to keep y'all safe in the cybersecurity realm. You know what I mean? But let's go ahead and get started here, everybody. So the first article we have here is from Forbes.com, and it's written by Alonzo Martinez. And the title of this one is North Korean Fake IT Worker Dupes Security Firm, a Wake-Up Call for Employers. This is one of those things where I kind of know this is coming, right? Because of AI, right? So the way that this person went about duping this company, he used AI with facial recognition, you know what I mean, to try to pretend he was somebody that he wasn't. Ended up getting a laptop shipped to a location so he could try to download malware to it. So these are the things that, in this age of AI, we've said it once. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. It's going to be harder to do different type of verifications and things like that, right? So the company that got duped here was a KnowBe4, so KNOWBE and then the number 4, right? And here's the thing, they're a security awareness training company, right? Which is kind of weird, right? You figure if they're going to try to do this, you wouldn't do it to somebody that's like big on security, right? But this person here was like, no, I'm gonna give it a shot, right? North Korea out there shooting their shot, you know what I mean? Like celebrities with these ladies out here in Hollywood, you know what I mean? But yeah, this one was crazy, and I know Chris, you're the one that kind of brought this up to the group, man. This article, it made me chuckle a little bit because I was like, they're getting very brazen now, right? Because again, This is an infosec security operation. This is an infosec company that they try to do this to, and it was a very sophisticated deception, right? So this person actually used a stolen identity, right? Like I said, the AI enhanced photo he used to try to prove he was somebody that he was with. And they actually did like a video interview with this person, right? So it's like, how does this happen to where, we get to the point where somebody can do all of these things? Because in this day and age, right, ever since COVID, when it comes to like doing remote work and doing interviews remotely, it's more and more of that happening. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Chris, what's your thoughts on this, man?
I mean, really, first thoughts about this extremely brazen attack, all right, an attempt to gather information. KnowBe4, I do like KnowBe4 as a platform. My company uses KnowBe4, and I know a lot of companies use KnowBe4 for their yearly cyber awareness training. Think about it from the government perspective, right? KnowBe4 is kind of like the civilian GMT provider, military training provider, right? Like they do all the CBTs for on the civilian side for compliance purposes, right? But it's a really cool platform where you can do a lot of HR functions as well. So it's a very awesome platform. But anyway, what's interesting to me is how they got past the interview process. Really, we're talking screening, we're talking video interviews. I read the blog, and what they did is they took some stock photo and then they made the guy look Korean. And really, I don't know what the video was like, how good the video was, how good this guy's English was. You know, we don't know. But clearly, this guy made an outstanding case for himself, right? To get hired by KnowBe4 as a software engineer, it's pretty impressive, right? It's a very good company. But the way he was trying to deceive them, saying it was a router issue or something to that effect when he was just trying to upload. I mean, come on, man. But it goes to show you how good, when EDRs, enhanced detection, endpoint detection and response and all that stuff is working properly, it's working well. So their SOC team did an outstanding job. And I don't know the time frame in which they caught this guy. It must have been almost immediate. But man, I think it was impressive. And the fact that KnowBe4 was very open and they published a blog on it, right? And they covered like, hey, here's all the media, Forbes, Ars Technica, all these media outlets that cover it. I think that level of transparency, one, is awesome as well. But really, this goes to show you the importance of the onboarding process, onboarding and transferring of personnel, maintaining the rights. And it's the stuff that from like smaller businesses. I mean, a lot of people don't think about how important the HR process is to cybersecurity, a more business oriented process. And really, if you identify the problems from the start, it's almost like preventative care.
That's a good way to put it.
We're making sure we're putting the right food in our bodies so that we don't get sick. And this is really what KnowBe4. They may have eaten something poisonous, but they were quickly able to get the antidote. So I think it's a really cool article, and it's really good for everybody here as cybersecurity practitioners to have a good understanding. But Daniel, what are your thoughts?
No, yeah, you make a lot of good points. I mean, also to point out, like you said in your points, hats off to KnowBe4's Security Operations Center, their SOC, because pretty much they detected it right away. I think in the article alludes to that they have their own like proprietary EDR solution. So that's pretty cool that it was able to like pick it up like almost instantaneously. They kind of allude to that in the article and hit the guy up and say, hey, what are you doing? Stop that. Like, stop what you're doing right now. We need to like see what's going on. This article is kind of multi-tiered for me because it's a nation state actor from North Korea singling out a company like KnowBe4. So I'm almost more curious about why did a North Korean nation state threat actor go after KnowBe4? Like, what does KnowBe4 have? Is it kind of like something proprietary on how they train? It's just the information they give out and they kind of want to see how that's going out to the mass in the private sector versus it's not really going to the DoD and military sector. So I'm really curious what the backstory there is. We probably will never get that, obviously, because I don't know any North Korean threat actors to really hit them up and get on the text and get on the line to see what's going on. But that's really like kind of very curious to me. It's like in the back of my mind the whole time I was reading the article. The other thing I see here is kind of like a difference between the private sector and kind of like the DoD and the military. So DoD and military, we have insider threat training, and kind of a lot of the scope of insider threat group revolves around kind of marrying HR, IT, cybersecurity, information security, maybe even people that do purchasing and procurement, or the words is leaving me when you export and import, whoever is in trade compliance and that kind of things, whoever the top level managers are in all those groups, to kind of go over indicators and things like that in a meeting once in a while, like monthly or something like that, to say, hey, is there anything that came across your plate, or is there any person that are meeting any of these indicators that might be insider threat, or are there anything that's going on operationally that's a indicator, so we can look at it as a group? Because maybe HR has information that IT doesn't, or maybe IT seeing something in their log aggregation or what they're looking at on a day-to-day, and kind of getting that cross-section. That's more common in the DoD contracting military world, but maybe not so much in the private sector. I know the HR has their own checks and balances when they do their screening for hiring. So the fact is, it's cool that they use the AI. That's kind of like the hook for the story. But that threat actor in Korea was going after that company. They already had a stolen identity. They already had like so many things in their favor that if AI wasn't around, they would have used Photoshop or whatever to create this person's identity. And the fact that they got past the hiring process, like Chris said, is very, very, very impressive. So yeah, those are my thoughts in a kind of like all over loop. But there's like a lot of like really curious things to the story going on that I really wish I had like Kim Jong-un's like phone number on speed dial or something, just like shoot him a text.
What were you thinking, man? What were you thinking?
Yeah.
Part of me like, KnowBe4, maybe they were just targeting, maybe they sent applications to a bunch of companies. Maybe maybe KnowBe4 just happened to bite. Maybe they were the only ones that caught it, right? There might be companies out there that have North Korean threat actors working for them and they don't even know because they're primarily remote. Right. So I think it's the advent of remote work. I'm not going to say like, remote work is great. I think there's a lot of benefits to it, but there are also security risks to understand, right? Maybe in the hiring process, fly the dude in. fly a dude in, or a gal, do something to that effect. Because really, it comes down to the reference, right? Like kind of the where the identity proofing process. That's where I'm trying to get to. What is the database that I think, at least on the civilian side, there's several databases that investigators and things like that can use. Different from the DoD, we have we are fingerprints and stuff. We got,
even in the bare minimum, they're going to use social security number, right?
Yeah.
Use social security number. So the gang, that's still a pretty big check to cross. So that having a stolen identity in itself and being able to use that as a vehicle to get hired is already showing that when you're going up, this is not a script kiddie or someone in their basement just trying to get hired. This is something that's backed by a huge nation state with a specific mission or objective, right? So it's kind of crazy.
Difference. Yeah, that's the difference between script kiddie and nation state. They can get multiple layers of proof, right, for this one guy versus somebody with a fake ID trying to get into the bar is not going to be able to get a job.
So to one of the things you brought up, Daniel, so going after this company, right? So I think they're just trying to get behind the curtain of the great and powerful Oz, right? That's what it is. They want to get back there and get that playbook, right? Let me see what you were telling everyone else, so we can develop TTP for that, right? So it's just kind of how it is, especially as you guys were talking about, right? No before is used widely, for a lot of companies, that are out there, DoD even, you know what I mean? So or three letters. Yeah. So you just want that playbook to be able to say, okay, this is what they're telling everybody. How can we come up with something to go against that? You know what I mean?
Or how can we use what they're telling them to then create exploits with that? Yeah.
This, right? Yeah. So there definitely needs to be more robust, verification measures out there. Because you guys were talking about, right? We are doing a lot of things remotely, right? And remote work, it's a goal for a lot of people, right? A lot of people love to have the remote work, you know what I mean? You don't necessarily have to live in one place or be somewhere where the cost of living is high, you know what I mean? Especially for some of these IT and cyber jobs, right? In San Francisco, paying 3 times what everybody else is. What's up, Chris?
I was just thinking about it. No before has the opportunity to make a really cool training out of this, or a really cool video. Hey guys, this is what they did, right? And then they can show us if they. I mean, obviously they don't have to, but it's an idea, right? If they want to show, hey, this is the level of sophistication that these nation threat state actors can get to, right? And it's something to be aware of, right? Maybe maybe they can show other HR practitioners. This is how crazy this stuff is getting.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny though, all the sophistication into getting the job, and then whatever malware and exploit they were doing got caught so quick. It's almost the equivalent of getting into the safe and then trying to cut a lock with a nail file or something like that. It was man, all that work and it's just immediately got.
But maybe I think the analogy could be more accurate to say that, hey, he brought in a bazooka into because clearly the EDR was working so well that they're like, dude, this is crazy. What's this guy trying to do? Right? He may have been he was wearing hot pink shirt trying to sneak into the
pretty much
the compound. So that's the way kind of I see it.
And that's the thing is the IT and the cybersecurity, those departments did their job, right? It was the HR that kind of let them in the front door, and then they were like, "Whoa!" And that it kind of goes to show, you gotta live by what you're trying to put out there to everybody, right? You can't be teaching it, and then can't be teaching it and then going around and letting other things happen that you don't want to. CrowdStrike, you know what I mean? But, but no, I say that in jest, but. No, I think this is a really good article. One that, practice what you preach is kind of what it's showing, right? They're out there telling people, hey, this is what you need to do. And they're doing it. They're living it. You know what I mean? So, but all right, everybody, we're going to wrap this one up again. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Daniel. Ryan, hopefully we're making you proud out here, man. While you're living the good life out there. Like I said, getting the sun and the sand all over the place. But everybody, please tune in wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you try to find it by the other side of the firewall, the other side of the FW. You can find them on all the socials, of which I have none. Chris, where can they find you at?
You can find me on LinkedIn under Chris Abacon, last name spelled A Bacon.
And what about you, Daniel?
Same, Daniel Acevedo in LinkedIn. I don't have a cool last name like Chris, but please hit me up if you want anything.
All right, everybody. Stay safe, stay secure.